Hi, everyone. Good Wednesday evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on WSAZ Plus. All eyes on the weekend. Our headline tonight is, of course, that big incoming winter storm that all of you are wondering about. And we are getting new data as we speak. Chief Meteorologist Tony Cavalier is going to join me here in just a moment, breaking down some of that new data. He and I were talking before we jumped on here, and he said, oh, hold on, wait a minute, Taylor. I'm just getting some new data in. So if you are tuning in with us, it is going to pay off for you because, as I said, Tony is kind of looking at that new data, dissecting it, and trying to figure out what is going to be heading our way as far as that weekend storm. So a lot of you have probably been on social media. You've been seeing the talk about this. It is going to affect millions and millions of people. That includes our region. So we're going to get you set up here and help you prepare for that weekend ahead because understandably, we've been getting a lot of questions here at WSAZ. A lot of you have been calling in, wondering about weekend plans, travels. It is going to be very difficult for you. That is what we can say, regardless of what we see. So on that note, the guy with the job that I wouldn't want right now, Chief Meteorologist Tony Cavalier joining us here on WSAZ Plus. And Tony, the weather office, no doubt, has been flooded with a lot of questions as talk really ramped up about this winter storm that is incoming. And I promised our viewers that are with us right now some new data. You were just saying that you're getting new model runs in as we speak, and we'll go over some of that here in just a moment. I guess right now, Tony, what are you seeing? Where do things stand? What are we going to get? What's the timing of it all?
You know we're under a winter storm watch across the area. I want to show you a graphic, Taylor, that shows you how large a section of the country is under this winter storm watch. So when you look at this graphic, you're basically looking at the light blue, which goes from Houston, San Angelo, Texas. That would be the home of South Fork if you're a Dallas fan, right, from back in the 1980s, the sitcom. And as you headed to Dallas, to Memphis, to Nashville, to Charleston, West Virginia, over to Raleigh and Atlanta under winter storm watch from the National Weather Service. And I do expect Charleston, South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, Raleigh-Durham, Richmond, Washington, D.C., my hometown of Philly, Pittsburgh, New York, and Boston eventually to be added to this. So in time, more than 20 states will be under a winter storm watch. And that's partly because of the cold wave that's coming in from the north. Can you see the deep blues? Let me go ahead and draw an arrow there because the winter storm watch goes from South Fork, from Albuquerque, all the way to Charleston, West Virginia. And part of this is being fostered by this deep cold air that's coming out of Canada, still another fresh Arctic air mass. And fresh Arctic air masses are the ones to be reckoned with because they can produce a lot of snow. A stale Arctic air mass, usually you go from snow over to rain. That's not likely to happen, at least for most of the area, as we get into the heart of this storm. Heart of this storm, you say? How about Saturday afternoon through Monday morning, Taylor? It's a long winter storm watch that's in effect.
And Tony, what does a winter storm watch mean for those that are with us right now and maybe saying, okay, why a watch right now, not making the call on maybe a winter storm warning?
We usually like to get within 24 to 48 hours before we pull the trigger on a warning. And that's because new data is coming in 4 times a day from our supercomputers. So there are 4 potential upgrades or downgrades. So we prefer to wait for 24 to 48 hours, but we have the message out in advance long before the storm gets in. So the watch sends you shopping, right? And the warning says you better be prepared because things are imminent. So I actually have prepared a graphic that shows just that. Our winter storm watch from the National Weather Service starts Saturday and goes through Monday morning. And it's interesting how ground zero for this, when it's all said and done, ground zero of this storm will have been the Virginias, West Virginia and the Old Dominion of Virginia, the Carolinas, and Kentucky. Basically, that slices through the heart of the WSAZ viewing area. You might say, why? What's it mean? Heavy snow likely. A mix of sleet and rain will certainly occur in parts of the area. But think of it this way. The heavy snow has the opportunity to produce a half to an inch per hour over 20 hours. So do the math. That suggests we could easily get 10 inches of snow across the WSAZ viewing area. Within shouting distance of where I'm standing right now, if you're hearing this in our 3-state area, you are likely to get 6 to 10 inches of snow. Poor travel conditions might be an understatement. Clogged roads and poor vision certainly will occur. Taylor?
Tony, we're not the only ones affected by this. I think everybody, when we first started hearing talk of this storm, I think everybody maybe made the mad dash to the grocery store trying to stock up on everything that we would need if we were going to be hunkered down at home for the weekend. Heading out, I think, trying to maybe get those essentials in case the power goes out. But when I saw the wide swath of the country that was affected by this, areas that don't necessarily deal with storms like this, of this kind of nature, I would think that we're a little better equipped to deal with this because we've been through it a time or two over the years, right? As opposed to maybe areas in the deep south that'll see some of this storm.
And think about it this way. It was just last January that one of the all-time snow and ice storms on record down in the deep south occurred from Myrtle Beach, from the Outer Banks, all the way to Houston,
right,
New Orleans. So to happen twice in 2 years, at least a section of that area. And so I've got a map that shows just that. Folks, the area in deep blue from Chicago northward just gets a light snow out of this. But the deep blue is there to remind you that fresh Arctic air is coming in. And what's the key of fresh Arctic air? It allows for lots more snow and ice and a slower, if any, changeover to rain. So Arctic air freshly coming in from the north, and this swath that goes between these two fences, which now includes Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Columbus, all the way down to Nashville, to the Speedway in Bristol, and over to the Delmarva Peninsula, apt to get 6 inches or more of snow. 6 inches is the bottom of that, right? How much more can that occur? A couple of the computer models over the last 2 weeks, and the American model had this storm in its sight 2 weeks ago, have suggested that some areas wind up with 20 inches of snow or more. Our job is to try to fine-tune where that may occur. Right now, we're thinking the area from Memphis to Charlotte, Statesville on I-77, over to Raleigh-Durham and south to Atlanta and Myrtle Beach will get in on ice storm conditions. There it will rain and sleet and freeze at ground level. So the I-77 zone, which goes from Charleston to Wytheville, on to Statesville to Charlotte, that's going to be a no travel zone during the day on Saturday. You want to complete your travel either heading south or coming from the Carolinas north by Saturday morning in anticipation of a major snowstorm and an ice storm to the south. And I think maybe the best way to see that, what's going on in the weather, because why is this pattern to be reckoned with? And I think we can make the case. It's kind of out of a textbook in meteorology, if you allow me to get a little sciencey. I want you to look at this and see if you can see any eddies or whirlpools, kind of like when you whitewater raft on the Golly or the New River, and your guide says, okay, we're coming up on Lower Keeney's, we're coming up on Bloody Nose Rapid. I want you to, well, he or she knows, the guide, that there are these huge whirlpools in the overall flow of the river. And can you see the whirlpools? I'll allow you to take another look, because the one that's catching my attention is right here off the west coast of California.
And Tony, not to interrupt you, why that particular one?
Well, it catches my attention because I know it's going to be the mother whirlpool.
Okay.
This one in the North Pacific is way bigger, but it's heading northward. Okay, so this one in southern Canada is the polar vortex. It delivers the cold, but without the mother whirlpool coming out of California, this is the one that drags the moisture northward. So yes, that's the polar vortex. That's the big whirlpool coming from the North Pole. And then there are the big whirlpool over the open Pacific, and the smaller whirlpool that you're watching in California, that's this one that's coming into the Golden State tonight and tomorrow. That's the one that's going to take its moisture and its energy and send it toward us. Can you see how the moisture on the underbelly of that whirlpool comes toward us? And what does it do? It goes from the Pacific, and all of a sudden, it gets mixed up as it crosses through the Gulf. So you're getting Pacific moisture and Gulf moisture. You're getting the cold air coming down from the north from the whirlpool up in Canada, the so-called polar vortex. And where do they all meet? It's like playing the old game of concentration. Energy plus cold air plus southern moisture equals question mark? Well, it equals a big storm. Let me put I'm old-fashioned. I've been at this business since the 1980s, so I like to put regular weather maps in motion. I color code this, I draw this up. You won't see this from any meteorologist now because it's 1980s and 1990s stuff, but it's the way I think. Look at how the arrows converge on our area. You have the southern moisture in green. You have the whirlpool that's come from the Pacific Ocean that's now into Texas or into Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Missouri. And you've got the bitter cold air coming down from the Northland. And where they meet is this sweet spot. And it goes from St. Louis, Cincinnati, Charleston, Pittsburgh toward New York. So here we go with a snowstorm. And on the underbelly of the snow, it's an ice storm, all fed by the bitter cold air coming to the south. And that bitter cold air plays a role in our weather all the way through next week, unfortunately. So, you know, I like to look at the European model. And while you take a look at the European model, I'm going to go over here right now, and I'm going to look at the new European model that's right now just coming in. And oh my gosh, look at Snowshoe. Look at Canaan Valley.
What's changing on it, Tony? What's standing out to you?
The high end of the snows are going to verify, okay? I can tell you that right now. So I'm saying 6 to 10, you know, I'm seeing 8 to 10 in the Charleston, the Huntington area. I'm seeing as much as 18 inches in northern Kentucky, which is south of Cincinnati. I'm seeing a foot toward Columbus. I'm seeing a foot toward Pittsburgh. So there's a zone in West Virginia where we likely change over from Huntington, Charleston south for a time to sleet. Let's see if we can see that on the actual computer model run. This is the old run now. It'll be updating, refreshing here in the next couple of hours. Saturday morning, we've got light snow in white. And that takes us down to the Danube National Forest of Kentucky, Knoxville, Nashville. Think of it this way, 8 in the morning on Saturday. If you're traveling Charleston, Beckley to Whitfield, to Statesville and Charlotte, storm hasn't arrived yet. Let's scroll ahead to the late afternoon hours. Let me get this back here. Here we are by 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And you can see the deep purple and blues are not quite here. But by 11 o'clock at night, there is the signature of heavy snow, Louisville, Charleston, that's I-64. Purples are heavier snow than blues. Blues are heavy snow in their own right. And then you wind up on the underbelly. This pink is a changeover to sleet. Sleet can accumulate. Sleet will be plowed. It's not freezing rain at this point. So sleet won't cling to power lines. It'll bounce off car windshields, bounce off power lines. And then by the time we get to first thing on Sunday morning, you can note that the European model is suggesting a little warm wedge tries to move in. So whereas southern Ohio, northern Kentucky still stays snow, Huntington, Charleston, south are in this pink area, which is sleet. And back through the Danube National Forest, which is about a half-hour or hour drive from our Kentucky coalfields heading west, you wind up with enough warm air briefly to change things to rain. And then we scroll ahead into the day on Sunday, and the European model wants to bring rain in green as far north as Charleston, Beckley, and then it whiplashes behind and it changes back to snow. So we saw what the map I had produced, the old-fashioned weather maps in motion, and now we've seen what the European model says, and that's a sure sign, Taylor, that we've got a major winter storm. That's a go. The National Weather Service likely upgrading, and they're one of the finest national weather services in the whole world. And we have three fine branches in Charleston, West Virginia, Wilmington, Ohio, and Jackson, Kentucky that help us to feed us information so that we can feed you so that you have alert of what's coming. And in this case, looking at the data here, I suspect it'll be Thursday afternoon where the National Weather Service will upgrade to a higher level warning for Saturday into Sunday and Monday morning.
Now, Tony, the newest information that's just come in, the model run there behind you, what's it saying on the timing of the storm? What's the latest update on that? It sounded like, I thought this might hit maybe early Saturday afternoon for us. Did it sound like maybe that timing has shifted back a little bit of when this will start? Or is it kind of on track from what you were noticing before?
It has not. It will snow lightly early Saturday afternoon.
Okay. Okay.
But the accumulation by dusk is likely less than an inch Charleston, an inch or so Huntington, and west toward Cave Run Lake, which is, of course, over toward Rowan County. You're looking at a few inches of snow. And then Saturday evening into the overnight. Remember, I talked about that 20-hour period, that 20-hour window, where we would have the opportunity for a half to an inch per hour on average. That window then is realized on Saturday night through midday on Sunday into Sunday afternoon. Although the tail end of that, in some parts of the area, will have a change over to sleet, which will weigh the snow down, or to briefly rain in parts of the area, which would be kind of sopping into the snow. I don't want to see rain for a couple of reasons. I think the main reason is if you get a dense snow and you get rain on top of it, that moisture is absorbed, and then when we have the bitter cold Arctic temperatures next week, then you're looking at ice, not snow underfoot. So better to have all snow or snow and sleet than have snow, sleet, and then rain, because that makes for a more treacherous event. And as I like to say in our news meetings, I'll be issuing a sprained ankle or worse alert as we get into next week for all the ice that will be around. A gentleman in my neighborhood told me a story that after the last time we talked about that, I did a demo out on the steps when I was working on a Sunday evening about how it was important to get the walk partially shoveled. Don't shovel it all, because you're not going to get it all off, and it was going to get so cold that the remnant snow would turn to rock solid ice. And he wound up slipping, and he did worse than a sprained ankle. He's 75 years old, and he's going through therapy. And I won't say what happened to him. I will say this, you don't want ice underfoot next week. You'd rather have snow, and that'll be our issue next week.
Well, I guess I don't know that I like to use the term best case scenario in this storm, Tony, because it sounds like either way it's going to be a mess for us. But it sounds like best case scenario would be hopefully this is all snow that we would deal with, because I remember back to, was it last year? I think even maybe a few years ago that we had all of that ice. I mean, thick ice, and a lot of people were without power for weeks. And I hope that's not what we're talking about here, if we would kind of shift that over to rain and then flip back and forth.
Let me tell you where that's going to occur. I'm going to go back to the Myrtle Beach map.
Okay.
Myrtle Beach is not going to have a major ice storm because of the ocean. They'll have freezing rain and sleet for a few hours, which will slicken some bridges. But this area down here, we're talking about from Atlanta to Dallas. This area in here, can you see how I've got the lights out?
Yeah.
There are going to be hundreds of thousands, if not a few million people in this zone away from the ocean that will not have snow. They'll have sleet and especially freezing rain that will weigh on power lines and create massive problems with the power grid. Worst case scenario is an ice storm. Now, as far as the snow is concerned, we have enough snow that we'll be able to absorb the sleet and the rain. And the problem is that snow will be denser because of the rain and the sleet, and that snow will then freeze harder when the deep freeze comes in next week.
Okay. And Tony, I don't want to keep you too long. I know you and I have to hop on the desk here in just a moment for our 10 o'clock news, but just a couple quick more questions for our viewers that are with us right now on streaming and are hearing all of this new data. And I'm sure a lot of them have probably been surfing through social media, and they've seen all sorts of posts from national outlets, local outlets putting out these snow maps. And we've talked about, I mean, we've been talking about this storm for weeks now, and it's continually changed. It's shifted, it's moved, and it's still doing that. And I think a lot of people may be watching your pages, Nicholas, Dylan, Emily, and saying, well, wait, why is there no exact snow map? And I think that just points to the fact that this has just continually changed. So when are we expecting new data? I know you said that you just got a new model run, but will there be more that will come in overnight that maybe might give you a more comprehensive look at what we may face Saturday and Sunday?
Here's what we do here. It's a team forecast. So we basically, all four of us talked, and we decided that the threshold to jump off is 6 to 10 inches.
Yeah.
6+ inches, I think, is what Nicholas used. And I'm likening this to that first storm we had last winter time, where the first one right out of the gates wound up being the heaviest of the season, 6 to 10 inches.
Yeah.
That's the jump off point, okay? And expectations are that jump off point, the high end may wind up verifying. But keep in mind, the storm's still in the Pacific Ocean, okay? So it's got 2,500 miles. Now it's about 2,200 miles to travel before it gets into our area. It's kind of like when the national championship football game was played the other night, and Indiana scored the first 3 points. Taylor, what's the final score going to be? Well, you want to get data in, right?
Sure.
And then Indiana went up 10-0, and then after not scoring the whole first half, Miami made their adjustments, and all of a sudden they came out and ran for a long touchdown. It's 10-7, and then we kind of jockeyed back and forth. Indiana always held the lead. In this case, the lead is always being held by winter storm conditions, and we're going to fine-tune. And I'm confident we'll be giving you a weather map with accumulations tomorrow to suggest who's likely to get 6 or who's likely to get 10 versus jockeying back and forth from the beginning to end, because the models run 4 times a day, and that means there's 4 opportunities to change the forecast. We're looking for that ensemble mean. All the members of the supercomputers, whether it be from Europe, Canada, the United States, all those are factored in, and we take a kind of a weighted mean, issue basically a forecast that is meant to be somewhat middle of the road until we see the whites of the eyes. And that will probably come tomorrow afternoon into Friday, because that will still be, tomorrow's still 2 days away.
Right.
And Friday is 1 day away. So there has to be wiggle room, because of somebody might run a kick back for a touchdown we didn't see, or somebody might fumble on the goal line. And so we're looking for that last bit of information before, but you already know, we've already informed folks that we're likely to get 6 to 10 inches of snow. And the question is, will we up that? Will we down it? Looking at the new European model, I don't think we're going to down it.
Okay.
And the question then is, who gets 6? Southern Ohio, Southern West Virginia, Southern Ohio away from the deepest snow, maybe. Southern West Virginia, where there might be a changeover. Where's the sweet spot? Well, I can tell you what, Taylor, can I show you the ski report?
Oh, yes, please. Yeah, before we hop off here, Tony, let's do that real quick. Yeah, for anybody that...
Before I saw this new European model, I made this map up. And it is, of course, you can pick out your favorite resort. But these numbers here are the numbers of the accumulations I expect at these ski lodges. Snowshoe, Canaan Valley, Timberline, we're talking about Tucker County into Pocahontas County. I had coated up 15 inches of snow. I actually had Winter Place being the highest of all. It's the lowest elevation, but closer to the moisture source. I had that at 17 inches. And in northern Maryland and in southern Pennsylvania, resorts of Wisp in Garrett County, Maryland, and Seven Springs in Pennsylvania, I had them getting a foot of snow. I'm going to walk back over here, and I'm going to tell you verbatim what the European model is saying. The European model is now saying about 16 inches at Ghent, 25 inches at Snowshoe, Timberline, and Canaan Valley, 22 inches at Wisp, and 18 inches at Seven Springs. So if you look at the new computer run, and we rarely take one computer run, we like to look at the runs over multiple days, then you get the idea that at least the trend right now is higher, the higher end. And so if you're going to the ski lodges, you got to get there on Saturday afternoon, leaving on Saturday morning, depending on how long your trip is. Get there before noon, you're fine. Get there in the early afternoon, you're probably fine. Wait till evening to leave, you'll be driving through snow. Try to get there on Sunday morning, and you may be snowed in. And you may have a hard time getting into the mountains because of the deep snows that will occur up in the mountains. And it's important to understand that the 7-day forecast talks about Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, all being alert days. For incoming snow Saturday, heavy snow Saturday night into Sunday, mixed with some sleet and rain depending on where you are. The general forecast of 6 to 10 inches, I'm not saying 6 here and 10 there yet. I think Dylan will be the first in the morning to be doing that. But I think 6 to 10 in the populated, I-64 stretch, Huntington, Ashland, Ironton toward Charleston, might be a good starting point. And by the way, whatever falls sticks, and whatever sticks stays for days and days and days, because next week we're going to be hard pressed to get above freezing, and overnight lows will easily be down near 0 degrees.
Yep, it is hanging around. Whatever happens Saturday and Sunday looks like it's here to stay for a good little bit after that. All right, Tony, we're going to wrap it up here at WSAZ Plus. I appreciate you being here. This has been very beneficial and very informative. And I promised our viewers that were with us that you had those new model runs, and thank you for sharing that with us. And full updates coming up 10 and 11. So I guess everyone needs to tune in there with us, too.
Is the popcorn machine going on up there?
It's not, but I can get it going.
I'm just saying.
We might need plenty of it over the
next. Whenever Tim's there, they make popcorn for him.
I'm sorry.
I do it. There's no popcorn.
I need to step it up. I'm sorry. I got to get to Tim Muir's level.
And what will happen this weekend, people will be checking all of our platforms while they're eating popcorn, maybe watching the NFL playoff games also, because what we've found over the years is that if we give them fresh information, they'll watch us like it's a movie. And the fingers crossed is that the movie doesn't cause too much harm to you and your ability to get around, but it's coming. And the National Weather Service will upgrade tomorrow to a winter storm warning in all probability, and we'll keep you posted here from the Weather Center right through this upcoming weekend.
Yeah, we sure will. Tony, we want to keep everyone safe. That's the goal here throughout the entirety of it. So thank you very much for spending some extra time with us here at WSAZ Plus. I'll work on the popcorn for you. We'll need it for the next few days.
Always a pleasure, Taylor.
All right, Tony, thanks so much. Appreciate you being here with us. So I'm going to let Tony go here. So that way he can head over, get ready for the 10 o'clock news. But it was nice to have him here with us on our streaming platform, WSAZ Plus. I hope that this has been informative for you all. We're going to be doing this over the next few nights and in the days ahead, too. Morning, noon, night, we're going to be here on our streaming platforms and on WSAZ to try to keep you informed of the changes with this incoming storm, the new data that is coming in as it hopefully comes into a little more agreement in the days ahead. As Tony mentioned, this storm's still well off the coast and is now a couple days away from us, just a few days away. Saturday is when it looks like this is all going to come in. So hopefully we've answered some of those questions for you. Like you, we've had a lot of those questions, and we've been peppering them to our meteorologists, and they've done a great job trying to answer them as best as they can with the information that they have in front of them right now. But you just heard Tony say new data coming in at the moment. More data will be coming in overnight, but regardless, travel is going to be a mess this weekend. Best bet, stay home if you can. For those of you that will have to return to work next week, we're going to try to keep you informed as best as we can to keep you safe throughout the entirety, because this is really our first big storm of the winter season. And it's going to be one to remember for sure, because millions of people will be affected by this one. A lot of areas that normally don't get in on this type of weather that will be affected in the days to come. So we appreciate you tuning in with us here at WSAZ Plus. Remember, you can stream with us anywhere you get WSAZ on any of your smart devices, your TVs at home. Make sure to stay up to date with us in the days ahead as we keep tracking this winter storm and try to update you as best as we can and let you know as far as snow totals, timing, and all that good stuff. So thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and head off here. Got to be on set here in just a few minutes. Tune in with us at 10 and 11. We'll get you full news and weather updates. For now, I'm Taylor Eaton, signing off from WSAZ Plus. We'll see you back here tomorrow with more updates on that incoming storm system heading our way for the weekend. Thanks for being here, everyone. Have a great night.